Hi, Kostas. Welcome to the group. There are a couple things that I think will help you with this phrase. First, some reductions, and second, your vowel is not great on gone. So that can be ah as in father, ah as in law, or ah as in father, gone. Either vowel is okay there, but it sounds sort of like gun. The as in butter vowel. Also on the word love. When you said, I would love to learn, that's the as in butter vowel. That sounded a little bit like the as in father vowel. So those two vowels, versus need some work. Being really clear, distinct, distinguished, separate vowel sounds. So, gone. Gone. And let me take that mini phrase, if it had gone. Here's how I would say it. If it had gone. What am I doing? If it had gone. So I'm dropping the H in had. There are a couple things that I will link to. Versus to work on gone, and then dropping the H reductions. Very common to drop H. I'm dropping the H in had. I'm reducing the word had to schwa, D. If it had gone. If it had gone. So another thing that I'm doing that you could probably do more of is gone is much longer than if it had. If it had gone. If it had gone. And that rhythmic contrast is important. So the whole phrase, here's how I would say it. What would you have done if it had gone really well and I brought him home? You have I've brought him home. Grammatically, that's not correct. I think it's probably I'd, and I had brought him home, and I'd brought him home. What would you have done if it had gone really well and I'd brought him home? What would you, there we have an ending D plus the word you that often comes across as a J sound. What would you have, dropping the H and have, what would you have done? What would you have done? What and done, stress there. What would you have done if it had gone really well? If it had gone really well. So actually, I'm not really stressing gone now that I'm putting it into the bigger context. If it had gone really well. If it had gone really well. If it had gone. If it had gone. If it had gone. Dropping the H and had. If it had gone really well, and I'd brought him home, and I'd brought him, dropping the H in him, and I'd brought him. So now the T is a flap T, connects the two words, and I'd brought him home. So because you're new here, I'm not sure how much time you spent in the academy. I'm covering lots of topics here. Flap T, like in brought him, linking the two words together. We're talking about stress, which words are really going to be bigger and come out, which are going to be less stressed, strung together. We're talking about dropping the H. We're talking about some vowels. So there's a lot of stuff that we're talking about here. And I will put links to some of those topics when I make my comment, but that's how I would say that phrase. I would break it up as you practice it. What would you have done? What would you have done? Over and over. If it had gone really well. If it had gone really well. Over and over. And I'd brought him home. And I'd brought him home. Over and over. Get those three sections really comfortable. Then you can think about putting them all together, or maybe you will do a pause between one or two of those phrases. What would you have done if it had gone really well and I brought him home? You can figure it out. Also, I'm not a great coach for stage English, American English. I'm more conversational. A stage director might give you notes to say things a little bit differently for clarity of, carrying across a theater. But those are my thoughts.